and it's 8 p.m., Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. It seems like in coronavirus, I say every week that this is going to be the strangest show that I've ever done. I think this week might top that. Woo! We're going to begin with happening now, breaking news. We are very saddened here at It's Happening Out to reflect and to report that Ron Brenesky, our partner and our friend here at It's Happening Out, has passed of COVID-19. Monday morning, Ron passed at Miami Palmetto Hospital. He had been in the hospital for almost 6 weeks. He was in a medically induced coma for most of that time and was in isolation. Ron was not able to see anyone. No one was allowed to see Ron, including his husband. So we're especially sad that Ron passed with no friend or contact while he was in Miami Palmetto. So it's going to be a difficult show for us. We're going to show you some things about Ron, and we're going to talk about it. But that is our happening now breaking news. And before I bring all of our hosts in, I want to show you a little bit about Ron Brenesky and his participation at It's Happening Out. Watch this.
But I'll tell you something. It doesn't matter if we bet or don't. The important thing is we're having a conversation. Mm-hmm. We'll fight, we'll scream, but at the end of the day, we're having a conversation. America, let's talk. Let's talk to each other. If they tell you queer, faggot, whatever, you know what? Smile and say, I'm better than you. And we are better. Please, come talk to each other. America, do not divide our community. Let's all talk about it. And you know something? If I offended anybody tonight because I stood up as a gay man towards a trans community, please go find out their suffering. Be part of it. Stand up, scream for their rights. We cannot allow one more murder.
Ron,
America.
I should let you know, we have a text I'm getting ready to reply to. Marco Rubio has said, please tell Ron to shut up.
Wouldn't do that. He's actually my wedding.
No, he's right. Exactly. That was my joke. Well, we all love that clip. Marco Rubio, America, if you don't know, is the U.S. Senator from Florida. We kind of cringe in saying that name, but he was at Ron Brenesky's wedding celebration. Ron came in, well, wait, let me introduce all of the hosts with us tonight. Of course, you know NapoleonPlays.
Everybody.
And Napoleon will bring you in just a moment. And Misty Eyes covering for us at Q News tonight. And those two pretty faces that you see in remote. First, the really pretty face. It's not yours, Power. It's Chef Josie's. Chef Josie is in quarantine, as everybody knows. Well, no, I'll tell that story in a minute. And then, of course, Power Infiniti. Power's in his palace in Central Florida in Polk County, and Chef Josie is in her palace in Wilton Manors, Florida. So good evening, everybody. Welcome. Another episode of It's Happening Out. Anybody ever think we were going to be doing this?
No comments on that.
Let me, before we get into conversation about Ron, which is what we want to do here at Happening Now in our breaking news, let me tell you a little bit about how this happened. Approximately 6 weeks ago, we were in full throes of talking about coronavirus, and Ron was here at this table doing the show, and he was coughing a lot, and at the time I don't think we were as concerned as we perhaps should have been. We were not social distancing correctly like we are in the studio and have been ever since.
Tell you a little bit about
I had a meeting the next day with the executive producer and Ron and I with Allied Health here in Fort Lauderdale. And then the next day, Ron went into the hospital. And a strange set of circumstances. Allied Health, the meeting that we were going to do to team up in participating with its Happening Out television network, had just developed a coronavirus test. And we talked about it at the meeting. The next day, Ron goes into the hospital, and we begin the process of helping Ron and everybody connected with It's Happening Out and Happening Out television. And Allied Health actually organized all of the COVID tests for everybody that was located here in South Florida. And that test, the next day, was the identification for Chef Josie that she was positive and everybody else was negative. And then we sat and waited and hoped for Ron. And the conclusion, as over 60,000 tonight, to the conclusion of what happened. So that's where we are, and we're just heartbroken here at Happening Out in so many different ways. So let me open the table. What do y'all think? What do you want to say? Where we're at? How you're feeling? Napoleon?
Yeah. So I was the first one in the cast that got to meet Ron. I found him at a Republicans meeting, and he stood out very, very quickly. He was charismatic, he was loving, he was not what a lot of the gay community thinks of when you think of a Republican. And I think that showed a lot in the footage that we were able to show of him and who he was every time he was on air with us. Every time you were with him in person, it definitely resonated very strongly. He was not just a Republican, and I know we pushed that he was the conservative voice, and he was, but he was logical, he was kind and loving. He always brought with him his family every time that he was here. You guys didn't get to see that. He was obviously Jewish, and one of the things that I recommend that jumps to my head when I think about him is that Jewish saying of "do not do unto others as you would not have done unto you." He never would harm other people. He was always putting himself in their shoes, and that didn't matter what community it was, part of the LGBTQ community, part of any community. He spoke a message of love because that is what he wanted to communicate. He wanted to be loving toward all people. And it wasn't out of ignorance, which is what I hear frequently. It was out of a place where he wanted to connect, where he wanted everybody to come together. And I know that we talked that he was a Trump supporter and a Trump re-electing supporter, but that does not begin to cover who he was. It doesn't say very much about him at all, quite frankly. And I hope that doesn't shut people out from what he was and who he was as a person. There's a lot that I hope that we're able to cover about his legacy tonight and in future episodes. I know we won't just forget him after today.
You know, before other hosts jump in, I want to just put an exclamation point on Napoleon's point. And It's Happening Out, the liberal perspective is quite easy. We're in the LGBT community. There is a significant conservative position in the LGBT community. Everyone does not think exactly the same. Yeah. And It's Happening Out, we've been broadcasting. Napoleon's an original cast member. I am. Power is. And we've had difficulty because we have this seat, because we want to hear that point of view. And we've been through some crazy at It's Happening Out. And one was vocally vomited Trumpster stuff all over the time. Another threw a mic pack and hit Power, infamously. And so when Napoleon went to a log cabin Republicans meeting, it was to meet interesting conservatives in the LGBT community.
That were able to communicate their thoughts and not just make it sound like it was a sect of the world that didn't make any sense. And Ron really knew how to cross that bridge.
Yeah, and we were incredibly lucky to and again, thank you, Napoleon, for that. of finding Ron. He is, I refuse to say was yet, very important in Miami-Dade County and politics in Florida. Most of the Republican candidates here in South Florida, he was a campaign manager, an organizer, a fundraiser. He was very intricately involved in the Republican community. And when we had him as a host, and eventually we experimented to him participating in the show, I would tease him and, your crazy point of view and on and on and on. And he would just backslap me and laugh and go, oh, you're just so ignorant. But I'll help you. I'll help you. So it reminds me. Other thoughts, Power, Josie?
Well, I mean, for me, it's important to note that Ron was, he was kind of a special breed of Republican because he was politically conservative, but he was socially progressive. He wasn't conservative when it came to his social ideologies. He wasn't conservative when it came to LGBTQ issues. He was very, very progressive when it came to, when it came to civil rights matters. And when he first came on board, I was prepared to hate him. After the last two Republican hosts that we had, which were just god awful.
Tell us how you really feel, girl.
Yeah, I mean, so when he came on, I felt, well, it was just going to be more of the same. And especially after the last host, I was like, okay, I'm done trying to be nice and trying to be with any more conservatives on the show. I'm just going to do my job and be a professional. But aside from having to interact with them on the show, I am not going to be nice to this person. I'm not going to be civil to this person. I'm just going to be a cold bitch. Ron thawed my icy heart.
Oh, cold.
Cold
bitch too.
But Ron really out. He really was an exception. And even though I intended to be cold and to be icy with him, he really showed me that him and I agreed on a lot more than we disagreed on. He always came from a place of love, and I really it was entirely possible to disagree with somebody politically, and I'm quite sure if we were to go into the vaults and run back some of our debates, you would see that we debated quite passionately. But I actually never came away from a debate with Ron thinking, this guy's a jackass. I always came away from a debate with him thinking, we have different opinions on this, but I really love it. I was telling my friends when he first came on the show, and they were like, oh, why is it's happening? I'm putting another Republican on the show. We don't want to hear from any more Republicans. We're done with it. And I kept saying, this one is different. I really like him. And his message resonated with me, I'm sure it resonates with all of us, especially now that he's gone, that we need to love each other. And he always used to tell us, I love you. He always used to say, I love you. I love you, Josie. I love you, Napoleon. I love you. Of course, I love you, Power. And now that means so much, and that means so much more to me now. Unfortunately, those words are more valuable to me now that he's passed than when he was alive.
Isn't that a shame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lesson for everybody.
Yeah.
America, if you haven't seen that, we'll have to show that maybe next week we can do that, or at Q News. On the last show that he was on, by the way, we're going to do a tribute video package tomorrow night at Q News. And on his last show, before he was hospitalized, I don't think I'll ever be thinking in the same way I did, because he made a very specific point of moving around the table to say we need to be good to each other, we need to say positive things, and he, as Justice Power just said, he turned to Josie and to Power and Napoleon and myself, and I don't remember Misty, but said, "I love you," and he
meant it. He didn't just say it; he meant it.
And it was a very lasting memory that I will have of him, because it was his last moments at It's Happening Out. And my goodness, if something this terrible is going to happen to the world, to our government, to our economy, to our fabric of social life, and to us as individuals, wow, he went out pretty good. He went out pretty good. Josie, something you want to say?
Yeah, when I caught the news, it really brought it home for me. Because of Ron, we all were tested and we were all informed of our status, and it goes back to the moment when I heard I was positive, and I was so. And I remember I have a text from Ron when I called and heard that he wasn't feeling well, and I have a text from him, and he tells me, "Take this seriously. I'm not doing well," and I thought I was taking it seriously. And then to test positive and to have my friend in, an ICU bed in an induced coma this whole time has been, a real check. Okay. It's been a real check for myself, check in, and it's allowed me to access a lot of gratitude in the moment, because there's a spectrum of this virus, and I was on one end of the spectrum, and Ronnie was on the other, and we've all said our prayers for him, and we've all just poured our hearts out to him and his family, and my heart goes out to Christian tonight, his husband, and just you hold space for people, and it's just getting to the point. I turned to my wife and I said, I've lost another friend, and it's almost like forcing us to get used to death. It's like the normalization of this new world we're living in. And now it's this new element that is added to what we're doing here. And that's the death. And I've had a very strange relationship with death. I'm not necessarily afraid of it, but I didn't realize how much Ronnie had affected my life already in the short time we've been able to get to know each other. He's a bundle of joy. He's the most fun Republican I've ever met in my entire life. He actually shared so many different perspectives with me behind the scenes that I said, you might be able to flip me. But that was, of course, a joke. But, like you guys have said, he was a different breed of Republican. And if more Republicans were like him, in the sense that you can have your beliefs but still engage in conversation, adult conversation, conscious conversation, and be able to actually sit on the opposite side of the table and listen to what the rest of the perspectives at the table are, and at the end of the communal, that's all I can hope, is that some log-cabin Republicans are going to follow in his footsteps and adopt some of his ways of being. And rest in power, brother.
You know, one observation you made, Josie, that I want to piggyback on about death.
Yeah.
We reported at Q News tonight that in 6,751 days, almost 20 years of the Vietnam War, we crossed today and matched in that number of deaths, 58,220 deaths we crossed this morning. But in coronavirus and COVID-19, 6,751 days in Vietnam, we've done in 59. It's just shocking. And to your point is, we can't process 60,000 deaths, 30 World Trade Centers 9/11s in 59 days. Having a 9/11 every other day. That's what's happened to America.
It's not just Vietnam, too. I mean, we're here in the World AIDS Museum. I'm literally staring at exhibits that I've seen however many times we've done our shows here, and I'm just looking at the numbers, U.S. deaths, U.S. total deaths. Josie, you talked about how it makes us familiar with death, and maybe that's part of what generations before me experienced, but if it felt anything like this, that has a new sense of irony and horror that I never wanted to experience.
Misty, anything you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, I met Ron the last out of all of us, and I think I was on about three shows with Ron. And I remember hearing that there was a Log Cabin Republican on the cast, and I was like, that's got to be a joke. It's okay, I'll show up, whatever. But I, like Power, I very much had my mind set, oh, I'll be polite. I am a professional Christian woman. I will be polite. And I will be respectful, but I don't have to agree with anything you say, and I may or may not, on my first visit, argue with you immensely. And come to find out, he took a lot of the things I was going to say before I was able to say them, and we were on the same page. And I was like, come through, Ron. Like, are you sure you're the Republican on here? Because he was very pro-trans. He was very pro-LGBT, and I'm related to a lot of Republican people, and not many of them are as loving as Ron was. So I have a very short experience with Ron, but I remember the very last episode I was on with him, he was sitting right here, and he went on to a tirade about the LGBT community forgetting the trans people.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, over there, completely gobsmacked, like, yes, I like you. We're friends. And that was the last time I saw him.
Yeah. We're going to we'll have an opportunity to come back to Ron in the show. I want to move us on into our opening, but very quickly, two things to tell you that I think are super important. Ron's husband never got to go into the hospital and see him, even once.
That's so sad.
I talked to him so many times and checking in, and he's from Costa Rica, and he was just kind of resigned to the fact that it was serious and he couldn't come in because of the isolation protocols and the induced coma. But to me, it is a reflection of the very great sadness of what people are experiencing all over America. Even with the illness and the number of deaths that we're seeing, you would hope that we would have some kind of procedure to be more humane in the transition to whatever is next. Even if that only means holding someone's hand, even with gloves or PPE equipment. It's so sad to me that his husband doesn't have that closure opportunity, and likely Ron would not have had the recognition that it was going on. But the tribute that we're going to do tomorrow is through a nurse in Rhode Island and her experience in a similar situation to Ron's, and the patient indicating, I have awareness even if I can barely express it. That's one thing, which is sad to me. One positive thing that I want to tell you, I told you Ron's experience at It's Happening Out on the last show that he did before hospitalization. On that evening, we're broadcasting from the World AIDS Museum in Welton Drives. Right down the street, 2 blocks, is this great men's dance club called Johnson's. And they have many, many beautiful men in it, dancers. And that night, I was super tired, and Josie was super tired, and Napoleon was super tired, and we didn't go. I have thought about that every single moment this week of going, gosh, I wish I would have gone, because that would have been the last time. And gosh, I'm glad I didn't go, because likely he was sick. However, the week before, we went. And let me tell you, no one had more fun at Johnson's with male strippers and dancers, and I'm talking about on scales of 1 to 10, 11s, 12s. Ron would go, and we would have the seating area, and he was the Don of Sicily.
Accurate.
And Napoleon and Josie and Josie's wife, and I would have friends with me, and we would have dollar bills, and it was a gay old time. On Wednesday night, after It's Happening Out. So after we had done the show, then we really went and had some fun. Compliments of Ron Brenesky. Ron, you're going to be missed. And everybody around this table feels that.
Yeah.
So America, good evening again. You're watching the world's most popular live gay television show. So many of the topics and stories that you want to hear about are next on It's Happening Out.
This week on It's Happening Out.
It's finally happened.
That thing you were afraid of.
Something's come from overseas.
A piece of my mind.
Don't do that.
It's lovely. I mean, it's a wonderful tribute to the writers, to Dan and Ron, and all the writers on the show, to our crew, to everybody, that this thing felt in an odd...
Our new game, Saved by the Bell.
These two guys have come into these areas.
It's all happening out tonight. Join us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Special guest host, Misty Eyes. With your host, lifestyle expert NapoleonPlays. Reality TV star, Chef Josie. Trans activist, Aaron Phoenix. DJ Diva Power Infiniti. Republican political analyst, Ron Brenesky. And our moderator, Al Ferguson. It all starts right now, live on It's Happening Out.
Well, good evening again, America. We are live. Remember, in live, especially in this kind of show, in isolation, we're one of the few LGBT products, frankly, maybe any LGBT products, live, that's still on the air. So live means anything can happen, which makes it fun. This is the world's most popular live gay television show, and there's a reason why.
We ask everybody, if LGBT media is important to you, especially right now, then please do your part. Like and share to our channels on Facebook and on YouTube, and start a watch party on Facebook. It's really simple to do that. We've got a video to explain how. Watch this.
When viewing our live show in your app, please click share. After clicking share, your screen should change and you can then click watch party. On the next screen, you can write text to your viewing audience and then click start watch partying. You've done it. Enjoy your party.
And our host and guest And it's happening out. Stay at the Best Western I-95 here in Fort Lauderdale and Wilton Manors. It's a great location, and when you can come back to South Florida, it's someplace you definitely want to look to. And of course, you'll be coming to Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale.
We are currently broadcasting from our permanent set in the middle of the World AIDS Museum and Education Center in the heart of Wilton Drive. Wilton Manors, Florida, the gayest city on earth.
Yes.
Al already had his mouth open when she said that.
Did you think I was going to sing it?
We're going to tune this up in a few minutes, America. I'm telling you. We're going to turn some attentions, as Mama used to call it. Our set that we're at is courtesy of Concepto Modern Living, and we thank them very much for helping us with the construction of it.
It's Happening Out is part of the Happening Out television network. We are the world's most popular digital LGBTQ news and entertainment channel.
While other LGBTQ media has stopped publishing, limited their internet and web traffic, or ceased their video entertainment and news, during the pandemic, we have actually doubled down on our commitment to the LGBTQ community.
Amazing news. Our website, it'shappeningout.com, is now Florida's largest daily traffic rank of any LGBT media, pride, gay business, or gay organization by a factor of more than 100 times greater. In fact, as of today, April 29th, our website has grown in Alexa traffic to a rank of number 15,000 and some numbers. Website in the entire world. And remember, that's out of 900 million websites. We're committed to you, and we thank you for your support.
We are the most popular live gay TV show in the world every Wednesday night, 8 p.m., called It's Happening Out. More than 500,000 watch each and every week on Facebook television. It's a talk show like television's The View, with a whole lot of gay.
Gay.
Right. We are also Happening.Fun, South Florida's most popular live entertainment show for concerts, festivals, parties, and things to fun. We have more than 20,000 Facebook viewers a week, and the show will be coming back shortly when social isolation is over.
As soon as it's safe. And our LGBTQ television network supports the live broadcast of Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday church service, the world's most popular LGBTQ queer religious broadcast. You could hear me get excited.
We are your #1 source of news and entertainment during this crisis, and we continue to grow. Thank you for your support.
All right, so let's jump right into the show. We always begin It's Happening Out with the meme of the week. So many of the geeks connected with this show live their lives by watching, exchanging, and talking in memes. So we think it's a great way to start the show. And let's look at our meme of the week. It's called Weekend in North Korea. If anybody knows where Chancellor President Un is, could you phone in to It's Happening Out? Is the guy alive or dead?
Yeah. The joke is Weekend at Bernie's, for anyone that might not know that, because it
Weekend
came out
in
forever
Bernie's.
ago.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
I'm old enough to know what that show is.
I know it from How I Met Your Mother.
Let's play our game, I'd Swallow That. And we're going to play our drinking game. And I'm going to ask some questions. And I encourage you at home to play with us, get a shot. Josie always says tequila works well. And or beer or water
or
whatever
Live Proud
soft
vodka,
drink.
sure.
Right. And I'm going to ask a question. If you agree, then you pick up your shot and take it. And we'll discuss it and ask some questions. Everybody know what we're doing?
Yeah, we're honoring Ron.
Yeah.
And Power's already ahead of us because I've been watching him drink for about 45 minutes. And Josie, are you drinking already too?
Well, I have some Hawaiian volcanic water tonight, but I'm hoping that my little elf will bring me a bottle.
So AA is working out really well for you.
Hey.
No, I'm only kidding. All right, let's move to question number 1. I'd swallow that. I've been making sure to get outside as much as safely possible. I'm taking
Always
that
true.
shot.
Always true. And it's important to note, since the state of Florida and many others are opening up today, that safely possible is definitely the highlighted part of this sentence to focus on, because you have to still keep your social distancing and not do that which science does not recommend. So go out, get vitamin D. You need it.
A lot of people don't know. I commute in for the show. I actually live in Atlanta, and I've been out for weeks.
You wish.
Well, did you take the shot? Power, did you take the shot?
Oh yes, I take the shot. I took the shot.
Oh, apparently so many you forgot.
We live in the country here in Lakeland, Florida, and
that's the whole county, right? The whole county is defined as the country?
Well, I don't know about the whole county, but I know where we live, you can hear chickens and see cows around my house, and so we have a beautiful lot of land behind us, as well as our yard, which is beautifully landscaped. And then every single morning we go out and me and my husband take a walk, and we walk around a beautiful lake. So we are definitely, I don't feel like we're closed up or penned in at all. I just feel like, we are definitely enjoying nature, even though we're isolated.
And Josie, I understand you basically are doing almost a marathon every day, being COVID positive. Tell us about what you're doing.
In my backyard, luckily, I'm blessed with a very large yard, and I'm trying to encourage my mom to join me to take laps around our large yard, which is about a quarter acre. And I'm doing the best that I can. I'm also reorganizing the entire house, so that's been my exercise as well. But I go outside, I sit in my beach chair, and I take in the sun in my yard. I'll pluck some weeds. I mean, I'm doing everything in the yard now, so I never realized how many birds actually come to my backyard to pick up all the seeds that Marcy throws out into the yard.
Every time Josie exercises in her backyard, after Q News tonight, I bring her pastries, her and Marcy pastries, so I offset the exercise. And Misty, you get out a lot? I saw you.
Yeah, actually, on my very first week on It's Happening Out, I was telling you that vitamin D is super important in going outside, and even though we are isolated, you don't have to be trapped in a cage. You don't have to be trapped in a cell.
Unless you want to be. Don't shame.
I'm not shaming anybody that wants to stay, but I'm encouraging people to get out. And me personally, I'm tripled my workload since this has happened, and I was going to go out every single day, and that's a good idea, Josie. Walking before work, or what's power? Somebody walked before work.
Yeah, power.
Or the first thing in the morning. I wake up and go straight to work, and I try to schedule a lunch break, and that doesn't usually happen. But fortunately, I've gotten at least one walk a week.
Good. Misty, I'm curious. You're a life coach, cheerleader at SunServe. Your note about vitamin D. I also heard that you were recommending at SunServe, in combination with the vitamin D, you can make it even better if you inject Clorox right into your veins. Is that true, combined with the vitamin D?
You should disinfect you from the inside. No.
No, just flatly no.
Just no.
All right. Okay. All right, let's move on to question number 2. Wow, you're smarter than the president. It could be a television show.
High bar.
Common sense. We don't all have it.
All right, so question number 2. I'd swallow that. Staying healthy has been hard. I'm getting ready to out Napoleon.
I feel like it's a double entendre, some kind of hard joke.
Oh, wait, that'll make it all the more interesting. Let's do hard.
Oh, don't talk about your ED on
Napoleon,
air now.
No. Let's start with power and hard. Is it hard?
Wait, let's clarify the it's there.
Boy, here we go.
Did you just say girl?
Well, Well, first of all, I can say no to both those points. Shade to any of y'all. Y'all are beautiful, but y'all don't do it for me. And then as far as is it hard for me to stay healthy? No, actually, I find for me it's been a lot easier because I haven't been able to go out and eat junk food, go through drive-thrus. It's no more eating out for me. I've had to cook my own meals, and because I'm trying to live on a budget, I haven't had the luxury of aging. So actually, my body is getting quite ripped and fab. I'm looking really sexy right now.
You were already pretty ripped before. I say like I've never said that word before.
You should see me now.
Anyone else hard to be healthy?
No, let's continue.
Hey, listen, all you need in order to kickstart your health regimen is get tested positive for coronavirus. And that will give you enough motivation, to make some healthy choices. So
the more you
know. Yeah, I've been juicing every single day. The only food that's going into my body is nutrient-rich foods. I've cheated. I have this thing for Tostito pizza rolls and and those pastries you bring me every night. But besides that, I'm just taking such good care of my body. And as soon as I test negative, I'm getting on my bike. It's been fixed. I'm going to be riding. Napoleon, if you want to go with me, let's do it. Al, you too. Yeah. Misty, you too. I would invite you too, Power, but you're too far away, and that would be a ride in itself.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to start with that. I have been riding my bike so much more. Yesterday, I felt like Dorothy, and I was riding around delivering little baked goods to people and little trinkets. I've been healthier in some ways.
I didn't drink this shot. I definitely have been healthier in my life. And if I get a fever or feel like a chill, I have a panic attack. I think I've been very healthy this whole thing. Eating healthy, however, maybe not so much. But staying healthy, yes.
Would it be inappropriate, Misty, for you and I to reveal to America what we learned at Q News tonight? That after he does these bike rides, he basically sits down on the couch and gorges bags of potato chips.
I didn't say bags.
We learned
even if
tonight.
That's true. I didn't say that. But
he's eating lots of meat, which shortly he won't be able to get because it won't exist, and lots of potatoes.
Well, it's hard. Like Misty made a good point. There's a lot of kinds of health. It's not just physical health with what you eat, and also the fact that gyms are not available. I've been doing a lot of Pilates and Ring Fit Adventure on Nintendo. But yeah, I'm eating with my roommates now, and it's difficult to keep the same standard as when I was cooking frequently for myself. And I'm not as open to vegetables that I see all sorts of hands going on or all sorts of reactions to. So it's definitely harder. But I had a high bar.
I have to add a possible correction there because that's a myth. You can eat fresh vegetables, fruits, things that you can buy at the grocery store as long as they're washed well. And after you finish in the wash, you wash your hands.
Yeah. Well, that and if they're not, 25% more, which a lot of places have been upmarking it.
All right, let's continue. Question number 3. I'd swallow that. I shouldn't be judged for my browser history. Oh my gosh, I got to do that one quickly.
Yeah.
If you shouldn't, go for it, Power.
Josie, you shouldn't be judged for your browser history?
I'm a very curious human being. I like to search for a lot of information, and there's a wide variety of searches in my browser. So you should definitely not judge. It's all research. I like to know everyone.
I completely agree with that. That makes sense. I continue to inform America. My challenge is online. I want to talk to 100 people, mostly men, from 100 countries.
What was that website you were talking about?
Chatterbait, yeah.
I am to number 79. 79 countries I've talked to. And it's been fascinating. And I've learned a lot about people all over the world. Of course, I was well-traveled anyway, but So I agree with you. My browser history is just for education and kind of like a gay LGBT United Nations. And I'm the ambassador from the gayest place on planet Earth. We'll
You
live at.
absolutely
Wait,
are.
why are you shaking your head, Power? What's that all about?
That's bullshit.
Napoleon, tell us about your brower.
I mean,
I'm going to skip
wait,
over.
Wait, I'm not finished. You can definitely judge me or anybody by their browser history. I mean, that gives an insight to who that person is.
No. You're absolutely right, Power. If you can't be judged on your browser history, which is your core self-identity in search engine, then what can you be judged on? What are you supposed to judge people on? We're the gay community. I need something to judge you
before
on.
we turn to you, Power, tell us about your brower history. Is there anything in it that you could be judged on?
Yes, but I don't want to tell you about it because I don't want to be judged on it.
Woo! Retweet.
All right.
Retweet.
Retweet.
The fifth on this one too.
And wait, let me ask in reversed. Napoleon is not shamed over anything, so there's nothing in your brower history either.
That's not the question. The question is,
Browser.
should we be judged or not? And the answer is yes, because that is who you are. You are absolutely the person that you are when you're browsing. See, Al's falling asleep. That's probably part of his browser history. It's part of his core identity. So it should be what he's judged on. Or what else? Looks? I mean, the way that you speak one time?
That's not the central thing I get judged on, by the way. Anyway, let's move on to question number 4. Ready? I'd swallow that. I have rewatched some of my favorite childhood movies and shows in lockdown. Now, everybody, this is our G-rated version of It's Happening Out. Anybody taking that shot?
I'm already confused by the statement you just said. G-rated, It's
Josie?
Happening Out.
Well, no, it could be whatever. But
wait.
assuming from
If
child.
it's not G-rated, I want to hear about your childhood.
Power, what are you watching?
Well, I started watching, which is one of my favorite comedies.
Wait,
Larry
say that
David.
again.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. Okay. All right.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. I love that. I am rewatching The Golden Girls every single episode because I have.
You're one of
all
the 3
seasons.
viewers at Logo.
I'm watching. I have it on DVD, so I've been watching it every single night on DVD before I go to bed. And Curb Your Enthusiasm. So these are just good, especially now that we're in lockdown. And feel-good shows are really important, especially right now.
Yeah. And Josie, what are you? I saw you take the shot. What are you watching?
Oh yeah. Are you kidding me? I've seen Pretty Woman about 10 times already. And that's one of my favorites from
I love you.
and I'm about to start going on a binge of Beetlejuice because that's the next one I love. Now that I'm all caught up on Westworld and I've binged the whole entire season of Schitt's Creek. The whole
yes, so good.
I mean, this is just great. So now you got to go back to the classic.
Yeah, I'm doing Walking Dead and the originals. I'm getting
I like the originals.
Yeah, I do too. The originals is written for a 14-year-old girl, and I'm loving it.
Perfect.
I just said it was good.
All right.
Shade there.
Well, that's our game. I'd swallow that. And we're going to move into some celebrity discussion. We have a couple of things that we want to mention tonight. I don't know if you know, but it's Steven Sondheim's 90th birthday. And it was celebrated online with the world. We have an interesting video package on this. Watch.
Another long, exhausting day. Another $1,000. A matinee, a Pinter play. Perhaps a piece of Mahler's. I'll drink for that. And one from Muller. Here's to the girls who play wife. Aren't they too much? Yeah. Keeping house but clutching a copy of life just to keep in touch. Ones who follow the rules and meet themselves at the schools. And here's to the girls who just watch. Aren't they the best? When they get depressed, it's a bottle of scotch. Another reason not to move. Another one to stay now. Drink to that.
Well, those are girls after my own heart. That glass of wine looked great. What do y'all think about Sondheim and what they did here in celebrating his 90th?
Sounds right up the alley, quite honestly. I can't believe that he's 90 years old today, because he's still been producing things pretty recently, and his movies are only now starting to come out, so the mass audience is actually getting a little bit more taste of just how complicated and intense his music is. I mean, he's really well respected in terms of musical theater crowds, because his melodies and his lyrics are just so complicated and difficult to pull off correctly. It's exciting, and I doubt he's still writing right now, but if he does come out with anything, then I really want to hear what it is.
One of the most complicated and challenging songs that I have performed in my drag career was for a beauty pageant by Steven Sondheim from the show Company. Not getting married today! And she's having a panic attack, and her husband's on the other side of the dressing room and another side of a wall, and he's like, today is for Amy. And then I'm like, I'm not getting married. And I actually had my real life fiance playing my real life drag performance. And it's on YouTube, I think, somewhere if you check it out. But I'm not getting married today with my husband. It was a very good show. But the words are so fast. Take back the I'm gonna die of. It was very challenging.
I'm just
Josie,
really, I hope that my body of work will be celebrated by, by folks like that, and it again.
Wouldn't your food dishes be moldy and dangerous at that point?
No, my body. I want to inspire, and that's what you see here. It's a legacy that's I'm just really happy that Steven is able to experience the celebration of life in this moment. So many artists make it after the fact and are celebrated after the fact. So it's really great to be in the moment and see. I mean, these are mega stars. So to be able to celebrate your life, wow, what an honor.
Yeah, Power, I know you're not a pop culture guy. Do you like Broadway?
I do like Broadway, but I was even more excited to see Meryl Streep sing again. She, just watching her on camera, kind of not in character, but still acting, was amazing. I haven't seen her really do her thing as far as singing since Death Becomes Her. And I think it is a big tribute to have celebrities of that caliber pay homage to you. So, happy birthday to him and many more.
Yeah. My favorite Sondheim musical is Into the Woods. And he has an anthem song.
It's your fault. And it's your fault.
Right, exactly. He has an anthem song in that show that, gosh, I hope millennials and Gen Zers and Gen Xers are listening to, and it becomes an anthem. Sondheim writes a song that says, children, they will listen. And my goodness, we need them November 3rd. So I hope that song from Into the Woods becomes a mammoth anthem.
Yeah, but that character dies in the end, so hopefully that's not what happens to everyone else.
That was a great way to put an exclamation point on my challenge for millennials. Oh, wait, that was the millennial trying to find a way not to vote. I got it. All right, let's move on to our other celebrity hot topic that we wanted to talk about. And, oh my God, did I love this show.
Yeah.
Wait, let's just think about the lead character for a moment.
Which one, Brian?
Brian, yes. Queer as Folk is going to have a reunion auction, memorabilia for charity, and they're all going to get together. We have something prepared on this groundbreaking show. Let's watch this.
Everyone look right here.
13 years after the series finale, Queer as Folk remains as relevant as ever, with brand new audiences binge watching online.
We stopped making this like 90 years ago, and people still are
discovering it for the first time.
And think it's real. I mean, it's like it's lovely. I mean, it's a wonderful tribute to the writers, to Dan and Ron, and all the writers on the show, to our crew, to everybody, that this thing felt in an odd way like docudrama, to a world that many people knew nothing about, and now they do, and now they're as passionate about these issues as anybody.
It was such a unique experience and such a unique show that these are the people that, I always cry, but I only can look to you, and you can only look to me to remember those memories together. We are the only two people, women, who went through those memories together, and so it's family. I mean, it's family. Forever.
Everyone smile, please.
God knows the clothes and the hairstyles have changed. But the emotional stories they're eternal.
Everybody remember America. This was at the height of AIDS, and when it was so terrible for our community. Into Showtime you tuned. They showed dicks. They talked about 9-inch night. They had back rooms in the bathhouses.
Obviously, I did not check out the right episodes of the show.
Oh my gosh, it was just amazing. What do y'all think about this get-together of Queer as Folk?
Well, they're going to bring back Friends, and they're going to bring back Friends, and they're going to bring back, so many Will and Grace. They definitely should bring back Queer as Folk. And a matter of fact, I mean, just that whole little video was giving me flashbacks of those days.
I don't know. I got to live in the world where Queer as Folk already existed, where this kind of change, where a show like this can come on, actually was already present. I didn't really know homosexuality before this already was out. And so I have some memories of it. I actually remember watching the finale with my first boyfriend ever, and I remember knowing that everyone else around me was so excited about what this show did, and being so emotional about what it meant for them and how the characters were going to end up before, spoilers of what happens to them, which was my first episode of it. And it's fascinating to have lived not in the actual show itself, but in the culture that it created, where people could not just have that as friends potentially in areas where they don't have gay friends to come out with or to go out with, but to actually come together and watch it together, or maybe even just to have a conversation in topic of similarity that's not just about sex. And it gives you something else to live and look forward to that can help create what is LGBTQ culture. It's not just about sex. It's about how we come together.
In many ways, Q, the commitment of Q News and this show, It's Happening Out, reminds me of Queer as Folk. They did anything. There was no, Showtime allowed them to say and do anything. And we do that now at Q News Tonight, and we do that at It's Happening Out, but you have to remember, that was 20-some years ago.
Really?
This was in Clinton, still don't ask, don't tell. Bush still coming. There was no Obama on the horizon. There was no possibility of marriage. They broke ground. Any other thoughts about Queer as Folk? Remember the bar? What's the bar name?
Power.
I would know because I'm probably the only one here that didn't watch it.
No.
Ever? Power, you've never seen it?
No, so as somebody that didn't watch the show, I definitely know how impactful it was, how groundbreaking it was, how much it paved the way for television, especially in our LGBT community. That's how powerful the show was.
True.
It impacted me, even though I never watched it. And it's not that I wasn't aware of the show. Of course, I was aware of the show. I lived during the time the show was at its peak of popularity. At the time, I just chose not to watch it enough to watch the show. So I've actually never watched the show, but I have definitely benefited from the impact.
You know why that
the
surprises
show.
me, Power? Because the bar was called Babylon. And Babylon was a character of the show. And the gay bar was the character. It was Pittsburgh in the show, but it was really filmed in Toronto. I hosted.
Why does that why did that surprise you? I'm a woman and I don't look at pose.
You broke up, Power, so you have to give it a moment to catch up. And I'll continue. Oh, go ahead now. What were you saying?
I said I'm a ballroom personality and I don't look at pose. I'm a drag queen and I don't watch RuPaul's Drag Race. So the fact that it is that the show had a central popular bar or had had a nightlife theme running through it would not have attracted me to the show. Maybe now I might check it out, especially now that I have time. But at the time, I wasn't interested in watching it.
Yeah, I think you should go. Honestly, I think you should go back. I hosted a charity event in 3 cities that was called Return to Babylon. And 5 of the characters from Queer as Folk participated with me in the fundraiser event. And one of the things that I thought was most interesting, which, Power, would be super interesting to you, they would have these big parties driven by the DJ, and they would film it. And the music was just awesome. There are so many soundtracks that came out of the show. And I learned in doing that there was no music. It was all a trick. Everybody in the disco, in the gay bar, is dancing and having a great time, and there's no sound at all. It was all put in later.
It's called editing.
Yeah. I thought that was.
You now know that working on.
Oh, this is all live. We don't have that luxury.
So usually,
exactly.
Usually I mirror my sister, Miss Power Infiniti, and her opinions. But this show completely and totally changed my life. I grew up poor white trash, and I
love that.
I did. I really did. I lived in a trailer, and we've gotten evicted from many, many, many trailers, and we were very, very, very poor. My father was a minister, and I grew up with religious and biblical abuse and thinking I was an abomination. I went to a religious school in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I found this show, and I was addicted to this show. And to see that there were people out there living openly things that I thought inside and struggled with and craved. And true story, this show is the reason I moved to Fort Lauderdale. Because living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I went to college, I lived there for 7 years. I got kicked out of ORU, and I didn't have any friends.
America, that's Oral Roberts University.
It's true. And watching people on this show and these 5 main characters who were best friends, moving every 6 months, every couple months, whatever. Every report card is from a different school. That's all I remember. And I never had the opportunity to have 5 close best friends. So I'm like, I'm going to move to Fort Lauderdale, and I'm going to get 5 best friends. And I discovered a nightclub called the Copa. And I discovered
my favorite bar in Fort Lauderdale.
And I started to recreate my own Queer as Folk. And in that, I found Misty and became who I am today.
I'm really curious, honestly.
Yeah,
Serious question here. I love that story. I didn't know that. I've known
being sincere.
Misty for a long time, been on the RuPaul cruise many, many times. Does it wash over you in telling that story, how you grew up, Oral Roberts, Tulsa, making the decision to come to Fort Lauderdale, try to find 5 friends, that you are literally the epitome of the success story that you just told you wanted? Does that wash over you that you've done it?
Well, now that you say that, it makes sense to me, but I've never looked at myself and felt that. But to be honest with you, yes, maybe I'd have, because this year on New Year's Eve, I remember I'm married, I'm back in school, and I believe in my future, and I'm believing in me and who I am. Where I remember I used to want to be dead, and I didn't want to exist. Especially because as a trans person who's tall and has a deep voice and built like a linebacker, I thought I would be hideous and a monster my whole life. And I now feel beautiful, and I now feel that I have a gift instead of a curse. And I do believe that I am living my dream right now. So yeah, you're right. But not in that living in the 90s looking at queer as folk, but looking at Misty Eyes, who I am today, yeah.
I want to try one more time in a different way.
Sure.
Aaron Dar is in a situation where we launched the first live gay television news in the world, January 6, 2020. It is being watched in YouTube by more than anyone that I know weekly live in YouTube. And you have this very handsome man, somebody that's been around in the community a long time, that is generally considered pretty bright. Aaron was very politically savvy and did a great job with the show. Suspension for a little while because of his needs for COVID. And this trans, identifying now as a straight Christian woman,
why does that seem so shocking?
Who was identified as poor white trash in Tulsa to Oral Roberts.
With a learning disability.
A learning disability, dyslexic. Or, dyslexia.
Will never amount to anything.
Makes the decision to come to Fort Lauderdale and start a whole new life, is the guest anchor on the most important LGBT news show in the world. It doesn't wash over you? You've arrived.
Yet I have a bright and beautiful future ahead of me too. But yes, your words have not been lost on me, and I do feel very grateful for many of the things today. And I completely changing chapters and gears for 1 second. Today, I received in the mail, not to my house, but to SunServe, and they scanned it and sent it to me. In March, I was supposed to go to the city of Fort Lauderdale on March 24th and receive Woman of the Year for Women's History Month. And that obviously was canceled because of COVID-19 and the pandemic. But they sent me today, and I have an electronic version of it. It's at my office, but the proclamation saying March 2020 will be Misty Eyes Women's History Month.
Awesome.
Misty, I'm really excited for the people that are watching you in this show and in Q News that are a lot younger and that are going to feel the same way toward you, and maybe you'll find that out in another 10 or 15 or 20 years, and they're going to have that same story, but they're going to be the little you that gets to grow up to be whatever happens next in the LGBTQ chapter.
And won't have nearly the same struggles that Power went through, or Chef Josie went through, or you and Trans went through. I have some friends. It's very interesting to me. We must send this to some friends that I know that were connected with Queer as Folk, because they would be thrilled to hear this story tonight of y'all's observations of the show, and especially how it impacted all of us. Let's move out of this celebrity hot topic and move to what we call the best thing of the week. We try to find interesting things, best thing of the week, and I haven't seen this. None of us had. We're getting ready to watch it now. It's called Grandma's Beer. Watch this.
It worked. This 93-year-old lady that was showed you yesterday holding up a sign saying, "I need more beer in quarantine." Got it. Coors Light delivered 10 cases to, she's not 93, Olive Veronis. Here comes Olive. Hold still. There's Olive. The lady delivering the beer is like, "Thanks." Anyway, Olive went viral last week because of this sign. That was her grocery request. "I need more beer." And Coors Light agreed.
I was on my last 12 cans. Anyway, I have a beer every night.
Who could have possibly imagined 6 months ago that we would have shown a video like this at It's Happening Out? It's COVID-19. This is it. This is what our world has been reduced to. Grandma going, please send me more beer.
Please tell me she's in a red state.
I don't see the difference.
Josie, did you feel any empathy for her? Because you stand in the window every night saying, bring me pastries. I've seen that sign. It's the same thing.
It's kind of the same thing. And trust me, I make all kinds of requests these days. I'm like, heirloom tomatoes. I need a bottle. But see, before this all went down, I had my little spidey senses on full charge. And I got myself a case of Live Proud vodka delivered to the house. So I'm totally set. And then my friends bring me over tequila. I mean, I'm good. Right now, my wife is getting me a glass of wine. Oh, by the way, I have a whole entire restaurant filled with wine and beer.
Is that what Hawaiian volcano water is?
I'm curious, by the way, as you talk, Josie has a fabulous restaurant here called Bubbles and Pearls. It's right on Wilton Drive. When the world opens again and you come to South Florida, it's a signature evening to have dinner at Bubbles and Pearls. I'm curious, Josie, I brought you and Marcy a dinner one night that I made myself, rice, chicken, noodles, etc. Was it delicious enough that it might make your menu at Bubbles and Pearls? That's enough.
You can call it Al's very basic chicken.
Your hesitation was heard loud and clear.
I've never liked you, ever. What are you shaking your head at, Power? All right, let's move on out of Best Thing of the Week to What's on Your Mind. Each week that we do It's Happening Out, we allow the host to tell us in 30 seconds or less what's on your mind. And it surprises me frequently because I'm mostly surprised that there's something on their mind, especially Napoleon. Yeah.
What would I do with a brain if I...
All right. All right, so somebody tell me what's on your mind. Power, you want to start?
On my mind is we are still having these conversations about blackface. Right now, there are some drag queens that are non-black queens, some of them Latin, and they feel that they are entitled to our face, even though they are not black. And it has brought up conversations that we thought we didn't need to have in 2020 about blackface. I just like everybody to know, blackface is racism. Blackface is not art. Don't do it. We say no, don't appreciate it, don't do it, it's late, stop it.
I'm curious, Power, to that. You got it in 30 seconds. Thank you. Why would an audience put up with that?
Well, most people have the common sense God gave a billy goat and do not put up with it. But surprisingly enough, you will find that there are some people that still are ignorant when it comes to the history of blackface, which is rooted in pain, brutality, persecution, oppression, degradation, denigration, and slavery. Apparently, some people just didn't get that memo.
Yeah, it really does surprise me. Josie, tell us what's on your mind.
Well, guys, there's been a lot on my mind, but more importantly, it's like, what are we going to be doing after this? And right now, I think you guys have the link, but I'm sharing a link for a free workshop that's happening on Thursday. It happens from 8 to 9:15, and if you're feeling like you need some clarity, you need to figure out how to get into your flow, you need to really get clear on what it is you're going to be doing after this, or maybe you need to reset yourself, this is going to be a really great free workshop, and it's called The Comeback Guru. Okay, so that's what's on my mind. I can't wait to attend. It's an 1-hour workshop.
Sounds great. And Misty, tell us what's on your mind.
Just working here with Q News Tonight.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, very much. But I'm also...
Us too.
Thank you. In my personal life, I find myself paying attention to the news. I do work a full-time job, more than full-time, especially now. I don't have time to search for news stories, but I am seeing a lot more news. And what's on my mind right now is that Northern Florida is considering opening right now. And or is opening, and that so many people aren't taking this seriously when it's very serious. And that's what's on my mind.
By the way, America, if you want any proof that our Florida governor and Georgia and Texas and other states are getting it wrong, Germany had the lowest death rate in the world. 9 days ago, because they were doing so well, have reopened. Guess what? Numbers spiked 30% in the last 9 days. So your point is true. Napoleon, tell us about what's on your mind.
Al, I'm going to make your day.
Uh-oh.
Nothing's on my mind. I have been focusing on the art of meditation. As many of you might see frequently on this show and on Q News and on Happening.Fun, I run very quickly. And one of the things I've been working intentionally on is paying my intention toward what I'm doing. And it's not just with meditation, though I have some great apps if anybody's interested. I have been focusing on being in the moment and being present and just being aware of what I'm feeling and disconnecting from my brain and reconnecting to my body and what I'm experiencing. And especially in this time, it's helped keep me a little bit more grounded and more centered.
If you don't have to pay for the app, I'd be interested.
Yeah.
If it's something free.
Oh, yeah, there's a few.
Excellent. All right, well, that's what is on our host mind for this week. We're going to move into, we were just talking about some news, and we're going to do a segment that we called Saved by the Bell. And it's kind of a flash news story where we're going to do a number of news stories. It's a lightning round of LGBT topics in the news this week and other headlines. We're going to discuss them for only 60 to 90 seconds. And this is really fun for me because I have a bell. Here's my bell. If they go too long as I watch the timer, this is what you'll hear. I live each week for Napoleon to be in mid-sentence and be able to do.
You're like a little rat that's just so addicted to that bell. Ding, 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 ding.
Exactly. Well, in COVID, it's either that or hold up in the window, send more beer. So it's one of these.
Send more beer.
All right. So let's play Saved by the Bell. Story number one. Blake Shelton this week donated $150,000 to feed hungry people in Oklahoma.
It's really exciting. I'm sure that he had a lot of friends and family that were involved in that got a lot of support for it. I hope that there are people across the country that are doing something similar because places should not be opening right now.
I think this is beautiful. Obviously, he's not making money like most of us are not making money. He's not performing in concerts, and he's not on the...
I don't think he's worried about that.
No, but I'm saying he's paying it forward, and he's taking money out of his account when there's not a lot of money coming back in. And I think that is a very brave and beautiful thing.
Yeah, I would agree with you, except he has voice money.
True.
Yeah, and he's like always on it, too, because he doesn't have anything else to do.
All right.
I'm really...
There we are. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Napoleon talked a long time.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Saved by the Bell number two. Number two. Trump, Burks, UV lights, and disinfectant being injected into your body. 101 story, go.
I love that the video that's playing right now is Trump looking to the side at Dr. Burks, trying to get validation that he says that, well, he doesn't directly say it. He just heavily implies, as much as his brain can put two things together, that you should put these kinds of things in your body. And she just can't even look at him. She is so embarrassed to be even in the same space. She cannot even look at the man. And calling him a man is a privilege here.
Because we're doing Saved by the Bell, and I haven't heard Power Infiniti say Donald Trump a single time in this show, we can't break that record. Power, what do you think?
I think Donald Trump is an idiot.
Yes!
I think Donald Trump is an idiot. And I think, astoundingly enough, the ones that actually try to defend, dismiss, or excuse his stupidity are even bigger idiots than he is. I would like to say, God help us all, because this was not the time to have an inept president at the helm. But, number third, we can right the ship.
Yeah.
I was just handed this by production. I feel like I'm supposed to demonstrate something. I am kind of hungry right now, so maybe that's like the point. No. What are you trying to do, Al?
No, yeah, exactly. Anything else? We have just seconds. All right. we're done. Saved by the Bell number 3. Fran Drescher takes the fight to COVID-19 the way she fought cancer.
Yes, she.
Cancer Schmancer is her
Schmancer.
organization.
No, she also they just did a nanny live action of I think the pilot, or where they all the cast came back. I love Fran Drescher. Anything she does is amazing, and I'm really glad that she's on board with this fight too. Any way she can make people smile, absolutely.
Any other thoughts, Francesca?
For those of us that don't know. For those of us that don't know the backstory of this, that wasn't really set up very well because I don't know what you're talking about. She took the fight to COVID-19 like she did cancer. Does she have COVID-19? Is she fighting for COVID-19 victims? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
There's
no time. All right. Saved by the Bell, question number 4. I'll help set up this because likely y'all will have not heard this. There is a bullied boy in Australia, and he has the unfortunate luck of being named. His first name is called Corona, and he's being bullied in Australia because the child has the name Corona. Well, as luck would have it, Tom Hanks caught COVID-19, coronavirus, in Australia with his wife and was in quarantine, just like Josie. And Tom Hanks heard of the story and the bullying of Corona, and so as a result wrote the kid a letter and gave him a Corona typewriter and commented on it publicly, and it brought the news in Australia to a stop. And now no one is making fun of Corona and his friend, Tom Hanks. All right, there, I've set it up. Did I do better, Howard? Please say I did better.
Yes.
Oh my God, you got Al to beg. Can we just roll that back for several more episodes, please?
So, bullying, Corona.
Yeah, I'm not traditionally the biggest fan of Tom Hanks. I've talked about that on this show and other places before. But when you see these kinds of humanitarian acts, I mean, it's just a very kind gesture. I can imagine being that person. I know a lot of us in the community have been bullied or have felt bullied or have experienced things that are out of our control. So kudos to him for caring enough to get involved, especially with the Australia connection.
Did you just say the male Meryl Streep you don't think much of?
That is a very far statement for that. Okay, he's not that talented. He's just charismatic.
I'm sure his 4 Academy Awards prove no talent.
Fact check
listen,
there.
I don't think that either of those people think much of Napoleon either. So it's,
Wow, COVID's turned you into a bitch, Josie, huh? I thought you were all about love and such.
Damn, that battery's recharged.
I don't like you on juice. Go back to the special juice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Have another sip, Josie.
Yeah. No, listen, the kid, bullying is bad all around, okay? It's like the fact that kids are getting bullied. I mean, look, I know a lot of kids that have terrible names, okay? Corona wasn't the best name. Parents need to take a lesson when they're naming their kids. It's like naming pets, okay? Stop giving pets and babies bad names, period.
You know, you hit a bullseye. Have you ever heard of the name? There's only been 3 in history. Napoleon?
Oh.
You ever heard of Napoleon?
Napoleon
I like
Bonaparte,
that. All right.
Napoleon Dynamite, Napoleon Hill. I'm sure you haven't heard of that person.
That's 3.
And then NapoleonPlays.
4.
Who used to be
Give
your
me
best
one
friend.
more.
You just said 3. I know you're
All
counting
right.
like Trump
let's,
does.
Let's
but-
move out of Saved by the Bell and finish tonight with our game Shag, Marry, Chop. And everybody knows how we play this game. We're going to show you some people that we'd like to shag, some people we'd like to marry, some people we'd like to chop. And tonight, we're going to go kind of wholesome. Let's do Disney's Wholesome Stars. Wholesome Disney Stars. First is Nick Jonas. Ooh, I like that.
Oh, they're not.
Yeah. Camp Rock. And then Zac Efron, High School Musical. Oh, yes. And Booboo Stewart from The Decadents.
The Descendants.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. The Descendants.
It might be decadent too. We'll find that out tonight.
All right. Power, I'm going to start with you. Who are you shagging? Nick Jonas, Zac Efron, Booboo Stewart.
Can I shag and marry Zac Efron?
We have rules.
I mean,
so
I just want him, but I will shag Nick Jonas. I marry Zac Efron so I can get that every night, all night, and Boo Boo can bye-bye.
Hello.
Boo Boo can bye-bye. All right. And how about you, Josie?
There was a toss-up because I like the long hair. I don't know what it was about Boo Boo, but it was intriguing. But yeah, that's not going to happen. So I'm totally following you, Power. I'm shagging. Well, no, I'm going to shag Zac Efron, okay? The hot, sexy boy. I would take him for at least one night. I would marry, surprisingly, Nick Jonas. And that is because, well, I have seen that he has eclectic taste and he's a worldview kind of man, and he's spiritual, and there's a lot of things that impress me about Nick Jonas. And then sorry, I got to chop Boo Boo.
All right. Who would like to go next? Misty?
Sure. All right. So, firstly, I have no idea how old Boo Boo is, so that's like a big red flag right there. I'm going to shag Zac Efron. I mean, High School Musical, everyone loves that. And he used to be like a little bit of a chubby kid, too, so who doesn't like that? That's a
About
good
The Greatest
shag
Showman.
right there. Well, yes, but we're talking about it in the context of Disney. And he, like I said, he used to be a little chubby kid, so maybe he still feels like he has something to prove. Who knows? That's always good in the bedroom. I'm going to marry the fetish shoot of all of these, clearly with the bat and the pits and all the punching and the punching. That's Nick Jonas. He grew up into quite a fine young man. And also, he's got two brothers who, at least one of them might be fun to get involved with. That's a fun little thing to imagine. Sorry, Boo Boo, you're going to be out this time.
So I wanted you to go because I didn't want to match Josie, and then you matched Josie.
I know, you're going to strike it through.
Totally agreeing with both of you. I'm shagging Zac Efron, the house down boots. Lifeguard Zac Efron, not High School Musical Zac Efron. Marrying Nick Jonas, whoever that is in the picture, if that's from a show or just nowadays, not Camp Rock.
It's not too old. And, he's a judge on The Voice now.
Yeah, but
And the Jonas Brothers.
Present day Nick Jonas is what I'm saying. And Boo Boo Kitty, I can't stand guys with long hair. And I think that if you are having long hair, it's your first sign of accepting the fact that you're trans and embracing feminism.
Wow.
And maybe if you want to be in touch with your feminine side, I can help you, but I'm not going to date you.
Did you just dismiss him as all like that?
I just chopped him.
Ooh.
But did you look at his browser history to see how he really is like?
Sure. There's only one boy competing in this slide, and it is called Zac Efron. That's it. All right. Well, we're at the end of the show, which means we're getting ready to have something here. If you were with us, and Jet's Pizza here in South Florida. If you're here, if you live in South Florida, you know it's the best pizza in South Florida, and thanks for opening it for me.
Is it too difficult to open the box? Speaking
No,
of
he gave
unhealthy
it to me
habits,
backwards.
COVID.
I got it backwards. And this is the brownies. Yeah. All
Yeah, they have brownies,
They have
too.
great pizza and brownies.
They have thick,
Thank you.
Chicago style.
Best moment ever for me.
That you couldn't
All
open the pizza box.
But
That's my
Jet's
best
Pizza,
moment.
it's great. I love their cauliflower crust. It's absolutely awesome. All right. So we're going to close up tonight, another episode of It's Happening Out, and we thank everybody for participating and you joining us, and give all of the hosts an opportunity to say goodnight. Josie, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, tonight I want to say goodnight to all of the people on the front lines of this crisis, all the folks who are affected by this virus at the moment, the people that are unemployed and wondering where the next check is coming from, the next meal. I want to just send out a lot of love to everyone in the world tonight, because this is a very tough moment for all of us. And for those of you who have lost someone, I want to say goodnight to Christian right now, and rest in power, Ronnie. Hopefully we did you proud this episode. Good night.
Thank you, Josie. And good night from Power Infiniti.
Well, good night, children. I would like to be as magnanimous as Ron was. I'm not there yet. I don't particularly consider myself a loving person. However, I would like to say that impressed me that love is definitely stronger than hate. And so to everyone out there, I'd like to echo Ron's message. Love the ones you love and let them know, because you never know when that time is up. And we need to say today the things that we're not promised to be able to say tomorrow. Okay? So keep it cute, love each other, and we'll get through this.
Nice. And Misty?
Sure. Both of you said a farewell to Ron, and I would like to follow and echo that. I didn't know him very well, but he will be missed, and I'm glad to have known him. I personally feel numb in this pandemic because I have lost so many people. And it's almost like every day somebody I know is gone. And in the beginning, I would cry. And now I'm like, oh, that sucks. And I don't want to be numb. I don't want to be jaded. But this pandemic has done that. And it is tough. And I want to remind everyone out there, as I say farewell for the night, to respect yourself, protect yourself, take care of yourself, use common sense, and make your own decisions.
And Napoleon?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult time. That's how every single commercial starts right now. But we also are living it. We get to cover topics here that are fun and light, whether it be Steven Sondheim's 90th birthday or just how we all might have been not infected, that's how much it's on my mind, but affected by queer as folk, or other things in the news. And so I remind you guys to play every day, every way. Take all of the opportunities you can to do that with yourself and those that you love. And Ron, obviously you will be missed. To you, l'chaim.
Ron Brenesky. Ron Brenesky. Ron Brenesky. Ron Brenesky. I had so much trouble. I have difficulty with names. It's literally, I think, a disability of mine. I think there's great irony this week. I was prepared last week. I was prepared. I knew what was going to happen. I really felt it. I think it's interesting that Ron Brenesky was a conservative Republican, but socially liberal, trans. You've heard stories tonight. But he absolutely was voting for Donald Trump. There was no question at all. He was going to do everything he could to get Donald Trump reelected. And what I learned about that, and thinking about it over the last month, certainly in terms of the crisis for Ron, and definitely in the last number of days, he wasn't wrong to do that. He absolutely has the right to express his opinion in what he wants. But he tempered everything that he disagreed the president with and then said it. In some ways, much better than much of what I read in social media of those people that are the uber liberals. I love what Power had to say in terms of saying, it's a little bit different for me. That's our challenge, to be better. Gosh, I hate the fact that I have to have that challenge by the loss of Ron Brenesky's life. But the proof of how terrible what's going on around us, unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. I was so dramatically affected by 9/11, intimately in the travel business, and people, and nothing compared to this. And you know how I know that that is true? Tonight we crossed 60,000 people are gone. And I go, just like you, oh, as opposed to, Oh my God. Are we losing our humanity, because the numbers are so overwhelming and the story is so big, we can't even comprehend what is going on. So one thing, Ron, wherever you're at, I thank you for a number of reasons, but I thank you very specifically. You've helped me this week reclassify what is going on. I will not be saying, with the hundreds of thousands that are likely to come, oh. I will say, oh my God. I'm holding on to my humanity. And you helped remind me of that this weekend and Monday in your passing. And it's all I have, and it's all I can do. America, we continue to try to be on the air and bring you Q News tonight, every night, and It's Happening Out, helping Sunshine Cathedral do their Sunday broadcast. We think this is important, and we're really almost the only ones doing it. So it's important, because we need to be reminded that the LGBTQ still is a community, and we have humanity. And Ron Brenesky, our host, helped remind us of that this week. So remember, if it's important to you, it's happening on It's Happening Out. Good night, Ron. Good night, America.